Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to showcase 8 advanced editing techniques you need to learn. Usually, I do a combination of building, game sense, and general Fortnite tips. However, this video is all about editing. Some techniques I'll cover are a new phasing method, a faster way to trap your opponent, and even a new box fighting trick that always works. As per usual, I'll show what the trick is, why it works, and then an in-game example if applicable. So without further ado, let's jump right on into it. The first trick is a new way to catch your turtling opponent off guard that I learned from Misfits Endretta. You want to use it in situations where you have a ramp over your opponent, but you don't want to make the normal half edit because they'll be waiting for you to make it. So instead, after you place down the ramp, re-edit a door into the wall, step into the box, jump up on the door, and edit the stairs backwards. This will make it so you're phasing through and could do damage to the person on the other side. From your opponent's point of view, they'll have no idea what you're doing until it's too late and they get 200 pumped in the face. One of the quicker ways I've seen people pull this off is by immediately editing a door into the wall after they replace it, and then building the ramp and pulling off the rest of the trick like I showed before. Mind you, the jump can be kinda tricky if you overthink it. My advice for landing it every single time is to set up at the center of the staircase and then jump to the left while looking straight ahead. Lastly, you can crouch while phasing through the ramp and edit any builds in front of you like normally. Here we see the king of tips and tricks, FaZe Martoz, in the middle of a box fight when he yoinks his opponent's wall and ramps over him. Without hesitation, Martoz pulls off the Endretta classic and kills the guy with a 160 pump to the dome. The next technique is a more optimal way to box fight that I briefly covered in one of my recent videos. As you guys should all know by now, you need to put a cone or ramp in your opponent's box after you steal their wall. We're in the year 2020 and you just cannot get away with trying to edit and take a shot. Anyways, the normal way people do it is like this. You take someone's wall, pull out your shotgun, that way after you edit you'll already have it out, then make the edit, and finally place a ramp or cone in the box. There's nothing overtly wrong with using this method, but there's a simple trick to optimize it. What you do is first take the wall just like you did before, then with your blueprint still out, make the edit. This is different than before because you pulled out your shotgun at this step. Back to the better way, and following the edit, place a ramp or cone and finish by taking out your shotgun. All you're really doing here is moving up the step where you edit the wall and moving back the step where you take out your shotgun. The entire move still takes the same amount of steps and time, you're just placing the cone or stairs down quicker. And the reason you want to do that is because this gives your opponent less time to build a ramp or cone of their own to protect themselves. A majority of the best box fighters in the world like Unknown Army and Clix have recently started to use this technique whenever they can. You'll notice they always place their builds first because they don't want to waste any time switching to their gun before they edit. They've also mastered blueprint editing and are completely comfortable with using the more optimized technique. So anytime you replace someone's wall in game, use this faster method to get your cone or ramp down faster and eventually secure the kill. Third technique is another pro player signature phasing move called the CRR Classic. To perform it, you need a floor next to your opponent's 1x1 and then edit the bottom left and top right tiles like this. From there, wedge yourself between their wall and your edited floor and break the wall while moving forward. If you only move slightly ahead, you'll end up phasing through the wall and can get a shot off on your opponent. From their perspective, they won't even realize you're inside the wall because of how fast it happens and the fact your wall is built. Now, the reason I love this trick outside of how consistently it works is that anytime your opponent places a trap, you can just walk out of the wall without triggering it. On top of that, if they build to protect themselves, you can break their builds, place your own, and edit them to get the elimination. Final thing before the example is yes, you can still do this with confirm edit on release. The edit is a bit harder to make, but you can still do it and pull it off pretty quickly by dragging your crosshair outside and around the unedited tiles. In this example from a player named Despite, we see him make the edit while inside his own 1x1 and utilize the trick on a person turtling a level above him. So whether you want to do the trick while standing in front of a 1x1 like CRR does himself right here, or you want to take the more strategic approach and do it from below, this is easily one of the cheekiest and most effective phasing tricks I've seen. Moving on, and the fourth trick we'll look at has been dubbed the super crouch by Reddit user 1epeko. At a base level, the move just involves you editing yourself out while on top of a floor and then quickly resetting it so you don't fall beneath it. Once you get it down and you start to master it, it should look like this, where you're constantly going up and down on the floor piece. Okay, but why would this ever be useful? Well, since you're crouching more than you normally could, you can actually use it to be unpredictable in box fights. For example, if you're trapped under a ramp, you can use it to fake out your opponent after they edit and send them back to the lobby. Plus, if you want to stay protected while doing it, just edit out one piece of the floor so there will be a tiny barrier above you as you go down. From this angle, you can see you're almost completely protected by the little wall that comes up by editing out only one tile. And if I go back to the example from before, it literally blocked the shot I took on my cousin while he did it. So I know it's kind of a weird technique, but it will almost always take your opponent off guard, as 1epeko shows off here. Technique number 5 is yet another phasing trick that will help you win more box fights. The way it works is you first edit the bottom left tile of a cone inside your 1x1, leaving you underneath the elevated part. Second, position yourself against the back wall, and third, reset the cone while also editing the top left tile of it up. This will allow you to phase through the edited cone and deal damage to anyone in front of you. From your opponent's perspective, they'll make an edit into your box and be completely surprised when you kill them within the cone. For those of you that think this looks similar to the stair flip method, it's because it is, but in my opinion, this technique is better. Reason being is cones are easier to navigate, safer to have in your box, and nobody will expect the cone phase like they will with the ramp. Plus, you can jump up to stop phasing through the cone and get off a right-hand peek. Credit for this move goes entirely to Evade Tweaks, who used it beautifully in this box fighting 1v1. Second to last editing technique is a much faster and more optimal way to perform trap plays. The main trap out play I'm referring to is when you're inside a box and then edit your wall to place a trap above your opponent who's trying to replace your wall. The way you would normally do it is by taking out your weapon or pickaxe, making the edit, pulling out your trap, and then placing it. The main problem with doing it this way is when your opponent is waiting for the edit, they'll kill you every single time. Therefore, the quicker method is to take out your trap before you do anything else, and then with your trap selected, edit the wall and place it. I'm not sure why this works, but for some reason you can actually edit any building piece with your trap out. The other thing you can do to be more protected is to make a top right corner edit in addition to the placement trick, and you'll never get touched. At full speed, you can see how quicker it truly is compared to the other method. Your opponent won't have any time to react or get away, let alone time to get off a shot. So from this point on, remember to take out your trap before the edit whenever you're going for a trap outplay. Credit goes to Ghoulboy. The final edit trick I'll cover is a 200 IQ way to confuse your opponent during a box fight. Usually if you have someone inside a box and you're going for an edit peek, you'll do something like a window or corner edit. This is pretty basic. To kick it up a notch, good players will often use those edits as bait, then reset the wall and edit it into something else. This also is not that new or anything too advanced. Well, something a fellow showed me is that you can misguide your opponent even more by not resetting the wall. Instead, just use the edit you've already made and select extra tiles around it to turn it into another edit. An example using a right-hand window peek would be turning it into a bottom corner edit. Another example would be making a top row edit and then turning it into a Kanata classic, or even making a door edit and turning it into a far window edit. The possibilities here are truly endless and will undoubtedly catch your opponent by surprise, since they'll be waiting for you to peek one way when out of nowhere you kill them in another. Overall guys, those are some of the most useful and advanced editing techniques you need to learn ASAP. So if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, then do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code itsJerian. Let me know on Twitter or Instagram that you used my code for a future shout out. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.